Bonjour, brought to you by Safaricom, a proud sponsor of Team Kenya at the Olympics.
Hello there and welcome to another edition of Bonjour, and we are outside the Stade de France where it's been an eventful night for Team Kenya, Elias Makori, and we begin with the women's 5,000 meters. Obviously, as everything on paper looked like it was a 1-2 Kenyan finish. Beatrice Chebet, Faith Kipyegon in second place, and of course Kenyans were ecstatic that they'd won their first medals at the Paris Olympic Games, but there seemed to be another interesting twist in this whole saga.
Yeah, the allegations of pushing by Faith, which totally disagree with, because even speaking with Margaret Chelimo, speaking with Beatrice Chebet, they were very clear that there was a lot of pushing by Gudaf Segai, and they were saying that's her character. She's very aggressive. I know she gave Faith a push. Faith tried to regain her balance, not to step into the track, and that's why everything went wrong. But officials appealing overnight. I mean, it's been a night of high drama, as expected. The 5,000 meters, where you have three world record holders. Gudaf,
some of the fastest women in the 5,000 meters. Yes,
exactly. Gudaf, remember, took the gold medal the world record from Faith Kipyegon in Eugene. Beatrice is the world record holder in the 10,000 meters, and Faith in the 1,500. So there's that. The Kenyan-Ethiopian rivalry actually came into play.
I think also it's important just to appreciate what Beatrice Chebet managed to achieve. Of course, she won the women's 5,000 meters title. I think she's one of the athletes to watch out for, because given the kind of season that she's had in the past 2 years, I think it all started when I watched her for the first time when she won a major championship. I think for my own, I know she's won several, but when I watched in the World Cross Country Championships in last year and then winning it back to back, there's just something about Beatrice Chebet that you felt like she was just waiting and biding for a special moment to pronounce her name in the biggest sporting spectacle, the Paris Olympics.
It's interesting because talking to her, after the race, she said she respected Faith a lot, and in the last 200, if you could watch carefully, Faith had made the push. She was going ahead, and then Beatrice realized she still had the energy, and she had the power to push past Faith, her mentor, and get it for Kenya. So it was a very interesting finish there, and again bringing into play, as much as they are Kenyans, there's a lot of rivalries between the counties, between the North Rift and the South Rift, and of course Beatrice from Londiani, Kericho, proved that she was the best in the day.
I agree, and for Beatrice Chebet, for her being able to push one of the best athletes, one of the best female athletes in the world, I think it just shows the level of competitiveness amongst the Kenyan team, as you've mentioned, and I think which is ideal, because when another competitor is able to bring out the best in you, you're able to push yourself even more, because you remember in the hits, in the qualifying hits, you were saying Faith Kipyegon's qualifying hit was one of the, it was packed with firepower, and ideally for the final, I think for Beatrice Chebet, I think it's a special moment for her. I think we need to appreciate her, because that is gold #1 for Kenya.
Yeah, exactly. And looking at that rivalry at the Kenyan trials, remember that Faith ran the fastest 5,000 meters time on African soil. So it was already building up to this final in this great stadium, the Stade de France. And it's good to have such a crop of talent. Of course, Beatrice coming from the juniors, cross country, like you mentioned, she's a world cross country champion, and now taking the battle to Faith. We just wait to see how Faith will recover, to get again into the mix in the 1,500 meters as Beatrice goes up to the 10,000 meters. Remember, she's doubling. Beatrice is doing.
And Beatrice was very coy about the 10,000 meters. She said, "Look, 5,000 meters is done and dusted. Let us just celebrate and appreciate it. Let's see what is up on offer for 10,000 meters." But knowing her, she loves to keep her cards close to her heart.
Very much, and I like the way she's matured over the last couple of years.
She was dancing in the mixed zone when she was done with the interviews with the journalists. I loved her energy.
And it was beautiful when Mary Moraa joined her after winning the bronze in the mixed, when we were the journalists in the mixed zone, and they started celebrating. I mean, 2 Kenyan back-to-back medals. It was fantastic. It was a good night to be Kenyan.
Right, now let's segue to the 800 meters. Mary Moraa won bronze in the women's 800 meters. I know a lot of people would have expected at least for her to win the top medal, but a bronze is still some level of consolation. But you can just tell the kind of season she's had. She's had a topsy-turvy kind of season, and she's run a lot of 400 meters races. I remember the technical bench, her coach was saying, look, for her to do the 400 meters races to increase her speed. But it seems like she didn't pick when it mattered. But a bronze is still some consolation. Being an Olympic bronze medalist is still something credible to have in your CV.
Yeah, she is very happy with the bronze. She did well to fight. Remember, she was up against a very, very tough lady, Kelly. Kelly has had a brilliant season, and also Duguma from Ethiopia, a world indoor champion, 800 meters coming outdoors and, picking up. So it was a very tight race, and I could say that the spanner was thrown into the works when Ating Mu from US didn't qualify, because Ating Mu, is in a different league. A very good runner. She didn't make it from the US trials. So it was really open, but Kelly had the final burst of energy. A very good performance by Mora under the circumstances.
Well, you can hear the sound there. Of course, it's some fans of the Vuvuzela, and having a look, I can see it's Americans just enjoying themselves. Actually, not Americans, it's the French. The French just enjoying themselves with the Vuvuzela.
They're winning quite some medals, and
absolutely.
It was a great night again. Looking at the 200 meters, Noah Lyles again showing up and qualifying for the final.
Yes, definitely, very, very special evening with their Vuvuzelas. They are just celebrating. But anyway, back to just reflecting on Kenya's performance. Elias, we still have a very, very, very busy Tuesday evening. We still have some races that perhaps, hopefully, we might be able to bag something.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch the men's 1500 meters. Again, we must warn you that it will be very, very difficult for Kenya to get a gold medal. We might be Kenyans and patriotic, but to be realistic, realistically speaking, Jakob Ingebrigtsen of Norway is in totally top of his game. Remember the World Championships last year, he was beaten by Josh Kerr of Britain.
Yes.
So now it's a grudge match. Timothy has been picking up. He had a bad injury that ruled him out of the Worlds last year. So we cannot say he's 100%. So, anything could happen, but I put my money on Jakob Ingebrigtsen and Josh Kerr.
Well, aside from the 1500 meters, the women's steeplechase, Elias, at least that's a bit of hope. Because you see, the bottom line, you just have to be optimistic.
Exactly, but at times we can be optimistic, but situation kwa ground is different. Looking at the start list for the steeplechase, I'd give it to Winfred Yavi, former Kenyan.
She has
from
the
Bahrain.
pedigree, yes.
She has the pedigree.
Trains in Kenya.
Trains in Kenya.
Like to some extent, one would say that she spends most of her time in Kenya.
Exactly, because the world record holder Beatrice Chepkoech has been struggling with injury. Indeed, she told us even during the qualifying that she had to push a bit. But Winfred Yavi is picking at the right time. She had a season well thought out, and I'd say, as much as I want Kenya to win, I think Yavi stands a big chance of adding a gold medal, an Olympic gold, to the World Championship gold that she won last year in Budapest.
Well, speaking of the steeplechase, there was some level of some sort of controversy in terms of the men's steeplechase, Amos Serem. When I glanced at his heat, at his qualifying heat, then I saw him now finding renewed energy at the last lap. I was a bit confused what was going on, because I would have thought he's one of the strongest athletes. He's 21 years old, because I think the average age of the athletes, all of them, I think 2 athletes are 21, and then I think Abraham Kibiwott is the oldest, 26 if I'm not wrong. But when I saw him in that last hit, in that last lap, I was a bit confused, because I thought like he was one of the strongest. I thought he was one of the athletes to watch out for. And then he finished outside the bracket, because it was the top 5 who are qualifying for the final.
Yeah, he was, again, there's been a lot of pushing and shoving, because he tells us he was aiming for the barrier, the water jump, got a bit of a shove, and instead of going bang into the, obstructing somebody, he decided to go around the curve and make his way back. It's like in Formula One, where you get into the pit stop and stay a little longer, then you catch up with the other guys in terms of time and position. So he did well to fight back, but he was almost getting into the automatic qualifications. But it's good that Athletics Kenya and the Olympic Committee appealed and is back. And he was saying, he looked very strong, very confident, very positive. So I think he's going to do something in the final. And
I think the level of foresight, when he realized that he had missed that jump, and he knew if he was able to go back on that barrier, he was going to trip, because it was too close at that particular point in time. So he opted to adopt a different strategy, because if he had tried to jump at that particular point, he would have tripped, he would have fallen, it would have been something totally different.
And I think they said, I remember him telling us, I'm getting a lot of calls actually from people wanting to know about our performances.
Yes.
But he said he's been getting a lot of coaching, a lot of mentorship from Ezekiel Kemboi. Kemboi was with them in camp. So, those fine things are the ones which, change a lot of things. He knew that he'd rather, instead of obstructing, let him go around and then make his way back. He'll not be disqualified, and that's what happened. He got qualification through appeal, and I think he's a man to watch. Of course, there is El Bakali, there is Gilma
El Bakali.
Yeah,
that's the man you have to be very, very cautious about.
They promised that they'll get a gold medal back to Kenya. It's been a race.
It's been a while.
So yeah, let's wait and see.
Let's wait and see indeed. Now, let's shift gears and focus on something totally different. We've spoken extensively about athletics, but let's talk about boxing. There's been a lot of controversy regarding women's boxing. There's an Algerian boxer, Elias, who has been in the center of a storm. And the storm seems to be getting like more momentum in every other day. There's a new twist in this saga.
Yeah, and it's actually moving from a storm to a tornado because this afternoon,
on Monday afternoon, yes.
IBA on Monday afternoon actually called a press conference in downtown Paris, and I attended it, and they were really, criticizing the International Olympic Committee because the IOC is running the boxing competition here. The IBA, that's the International Boxing Association, has been locked out. There are a lot of wrangles in boxing, so the IOC decided to handle this, and the IBA are saying, look here, you are allowing a male boxer to fight in a women's competition, and that controversy has still been going on about the real legend of this boxer.
What I will say is this: we never intended to raise any of these issues at this event because this is not our event. This event belongs to the IOC. The whereabouts of this has come out based on the result of the bout between the Italian Angela Carini and Emin Khalif.
Very interesting side shows that are happening here.
And what was fascinating was the fact that during that press conference, her compatriot checked in and caused quite a stir.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it was quite dramatic. Actually, I had to leave because of, to catch up with the track action. But there was a lot of commotion. The president of IBA, Umar Kremlev, very critical. He was criticizing the opening ceremony, the religious issues around the opening ceremony. He criticized the IOC president, Thomas Bach. He went on and on and on, and he was talking via Zoom from Moscow. So there was a lot of confusion, the translation not working, a delay in the press conference, and now
delayed for about an hour.
For about an hour. I mean, I got hungry and angry and decided to leave and go for the study.
One fascinating thing about this entire saga is the fact that it almost mimics a boxing fight. IOC throws one punch, IBA throws another punch.
I can't tell you if they were credible or not credible because the source from which they came was not credible, and the basis for the questions was not credible. So therefore, for the test was not credible. So therefore, I'm assuming that I wasn't involved in the process, but I'm assuming for that reason there was no consideration of whether they were correct or not correct because they didn't have any bearing on the eligibility for the boxing competition here.
That's not what it's about. We have had 2 letters today from the NOCs, okay? Let's look at the similar link here between the NOCs and the IOC, all right? This morning to say we cannot announce the results. Honestly, I don't tell lies. There's no requirement for me to tell lies. I'm giving you the facts. That's as it is.
It's unfortunately the boxer at the center of that storm, the Algerian. I think it's unfortunate, but her teammate said she's going to win gold to silence everyone. Let's listen in.
People don't do research and they speak. They don't know her. They don't know how she was, the way she born. They don't know anything. But of course, even if she wants to ignore it, you can do that. Yes, she's a human, and this happened in. All the world speak about her, but she's strong. Yes, the only reason that make her win, and she's strong, and she will. Only the goal. She will win the goal. We trust her.
Well, that's it for Bonjour. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bernard Ndong. Outside the Stade de France, as always, au revoir.
Au revoir.
Bonjour, brought to you by Safaricom, a proud sponsor of Team Kenya at the Olympics.